Welcome to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive, the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. I'm Ankita Kirti, Product Manager on the OneDrive team.
And I'm Jason Moore, Director of Program Management for OneDrive. This show will take you behind the scenes of OneDrive, shedding light on how OneDrive connects you to all of your files in Microsoft 365 so you can share and work together from anywhere while protecting your work from accidental loss and malicious attacks.
Today, we are excited to have on the show Randy Wong to take us through 2020, do a quick recap and discuss product highlights, and do a quick recap of all the innovations.
So don't go away. We've got another great show for you today.
So this is our final episode for the year. So we have decided to reminisce a little today. We would be doing a quick recap of 2020, discuss product highlights, teams' learnings and achievements, and look forward to 2021. Jason, would you introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. Our guest today is Randy Wong, Principal PM Manager on the OneDrive team, responsible for customer success, sharing, and collaboration. Randy, welcome to the show today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Randy's, you may have met Randy if you've ever been to one of our conferences or been to an online seminar. Randy interacts with folks quite a bit. And so hopefully for those of you who haven't had the good fortune to meet Randy, today will be a pretty good way to get kind of his thinking and view and understanding overall of OneDrive and kind of the experiences and scenarios that we really support. Ankita, how do you want to divide up this conversation looking back over 2020?
So I want to begin asking Randy about the overall product performance for the year before we dig into the highlights and the recap and the innovations. Randy, can you tell us something about, according to you, how has OneDrive performed and what was your and the team's experience?
Yeah, 2020 was just an incredible year by all accounts. Despite a pandemic, it was our biggest growth year in terms of OneDrive monthly active usage. You probably saw Jeff Teeper's blog post that recently came out. OneDrive and SharePoint eclipsed 200 million monthly active users and grew over 100% year over year. So if you think about big products and 100 million monthly active users is a lot, 200 million monthly active users is incredible. There's not that many products, both consumer or enterprise, that have reached that scale. And probably what I'm most proud of is that our engagement was up even more as a percentage. And, we saw incredible growth for things like Microsoft Teams. Our Teams growth was up 10x, really incredible. And, the numbers are great, but what I'm most proud of is how we are there for our customers through this difficult time. In my job, I talk to a lot of customers, and OneDrive just played such an important role at just keeping the world going and keeping people productive. We work with governments, schools, pharmaceutical companies, and it's just amazing to see how OneDrive really was so important to those companies in helping them pull through this difficult time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to kind of reflect on all of that. We obviously, as people who build a product, love building the product. The process and the experience is a lot of fun, but the most satisfying aspects of it are absolutely seeing it be used and be essential, be important. The number of conversations that I know you and I both had over the last year with government officials and employees at all of these companies, at schools, have been, in some ways stressful and challenging for them, but in many ways really exciting to see how much of a role we can play in having the world keep moving forward. So really proud of that. I think that's a great kind of recap on it. It might be interesting to share a little bit about some of the challenges that we've dealt with in overcoming that. So I'm sure everyone has their story of things they've been working through, but I'm curious to hear from both of you really on what are some of the things that we were challenged by or we had to face as a team and overcome to deliver this year.
Yeah, when you think about cloud services, one of the benefits is kind of elastic storage, and we're built on Azure, so we can anticipate demand, but no one could have foreseen the spikes that we saw in March when COVID hit. It was all hands on deck, making sure that the product was up, reliable, that we were servicing our customers. We saw, like we mentioned, schools, governments, big companies just rally to the cloud because that was the way that they could keep their businesses going. And what we saw is really adoption pull through, not just a demand pull through, but they're really accelerating their usage and their time to value and time to rolling out their licenses. So really a doubling down on service health, reliability, but also just being there for our teams. And I think that was a big thing that, Jason, I work for Jason, and just I'm really proud of just how as a team we really rallied for each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think the team did a great job. Yes, it is great leadership as well, but I also think that we have amazing folks on our team, and it was so amazing to see that along with everything that you mentioned, Randy, that is happening with everyone in their personal lives, the way folks rallied with the usage spikes across various segments and kept pushing new features that we had promised our customers. Just amazing. And on that note, I would want to ask that according to you, what are the highlights for 2020 with respect to the innovations or the features that we released?
Yeah, just so many highlights across the board. And when we think about OneDrive and our vision for OneDrive really being the service for Microsoft 365 and really powering those file experiences and collaboration experience across Microsoft 365, we saw that shine through more now than ever. And we talk about the integrations with Office, with Teams, with Outlook, with Yammer, with Stream, and all these different places where OneDrive shows up. Really, that is a big story of 2020 is how people are using OneDrive, not just within OneDrive, but across the whole Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And features like add to OneDrive and things like move and keep sharing or expiring external access or KFM improvements, all of those things accrue not just to OneDrive, but to all these other parts of Microsoft 365. And then one of the features that I'm most proud of is just our performance improvements. And we realize when people are trying to access content from their home machine, when there's 3 kids on Wi-Fi on video calls all day, we really need to make sure that people can get to their content. And we improved overall speed to getting to the web page by 30% this year, which was a big bump.
I think you highlighted a bunch of the really key ones. I think it's fun to talk about some of the learnings and some of the efforts behind the scenes for them. Take Stream, for example. Stream has been this pretty awesome product for a lot of meeting recordings, obviously being a key scenario integration between Stream and Teams, but also, full on people sharing content and kind of in the move to the cloud, the need to share more content in other ways, especially asynchronously, but perhaps with video and audio, making that accessible through things like the transcripts. Those things are really, really kind of powerful pieces. And we've seen an absolute explosion in usage for all of those, as I think all of us are still trying to figure out this working from home thing. And so there have been a lot of things that have been tried. And the exciting announcement we made at Ignite this year, where Stream is moving on top of OneDrive and SharePoint for that data storage so that we can kind of take that expansion and load. For those of you maybe not followed along, OneDrive and SharePoint today are the largest services we have for a number of pieces, and they consume an enormous amount of resources to do that. But they do that with a scope and capability that puts administrators in control. It ensures governance, compliance, aligns work that we do, like the performance work that Randy's talking about, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of bring all that together in a simplifying way. And so with Stream, we really saw that, hey, we could go and build other things, but really that was all right there. And leveraging that allowed us to accelerate being able to provide those capabilities to folks who needed to do interesting things with their video or any kind of capability with their video. So that I think is a really great one where you kind of see the impacts maybe accelerated of leveraging these systems at scale for scenarios that are becoming more and more popular and more essential, like this video capability. One of my personal favorites this year, and we did a show on it this summer with Olga, is Add to OneDrive. Add to OneDrive has been something the team has been working on for quite some time. We mentioned that a bit on the show, and if you want to go into the depths of it, that's a great episode to listen to. But delivering that and finally achieving kind of general availability with it has been kind of a breath of fresh air, because it really takes you out of the singleton of your OneDrive to connect to all of the files and folders that you care about across your corporate intranet, across your organization. And the idea that you can bring that stuff together and see it together, the things that you care about the most, and see all those things together in your OneDrive, whether that's on mobile, whether that's on the web, whether that's in Office when you're trying to go open and find a file, whether that's on Windows or Mac through sync clients. All of those capabilities and pieces really start to bring things together. And when you think about it in the lens of kind of this airlift of so many of us moving to the cloud for the first time this year, that greater than 100% year-over-year growth in OneDrive and SharePoint, what we're really talking about is ways to make all of the lives that much easier and that much better for everyone. And so that's been, I think, a real highlight for me personally. Ankita, I don't know if you had one that was one of your favorites.
I would actually like to add a little bit more to add to OneDrive. We recently announced that it's become generally available, and it was so humbling to see the comments that rolled into, say, the blog or social when people said we didn't even realize how important this feature would be. We've been hearing about it, but when we are actually seeing it, we didn't know that we missed it. And I was talking to Olga the other day, and she was telling me about the feedback and the usage she's seeing of the feature. And it's just so overwhelming and humbling. So that's amazing. The other thing I think we heard the most feedback or kudos on was the fact that we support 100 GB file upload size. That was a major hit this year as well. So yeah, these two features I feel were really, really exciting.
You know, it's fun with the large file sizes as well, because, you know, we're always looking for what are the next scenarios, what are the next capabilities to bring. And with that 100 gigabyte file size, the work that we did in our sync clients and other endpoints for things like differential sync to make it easier to work with those types of files, and now things like Stream moving on top of OneDrive and SharePoint, we get this great experience that brings together kind of the innovation in the tech platform, the raw capabilities and scale there with the scenarios that are going to drive usage and desire and demand. And that's really great when those things can go hand in hand. You know, we used to talk about some file sizes and kind of think, oh gosh, when will we have that? You know, no one ever says there's no limit or there's a limit that you're never going to pass. But, you know, I always think back to when we started with OneDrive and we allowed 10 megabyte files in the very first beta. We had long arguments for getting to 50 megabyte files and then so on and so forth. And of course, while 100 gigabytes will be a massive leap, it's certainly not the endpoint, and we'll continue to see more growth there. And what's really exciting then is about those scenarios, those ways to take advantage and use them. All right. So, okay, those are all pretty great. Big fan of the work the team's done. Really proud of it. All of those, though, we kind of focused on kind of the general across all the endpoints. It might be interesting to talk a little bit just about what we did with mobile, because this year was pretty cool for some of the ways we focused our energy on the mobile platforms. Randy, do you kind of want to maybe give us an overview of those?
Sure. Yeah. Mobile became even more important, especially with the pandemic, as people wanted to access across all their devices. Even at home, sometimes you don't have access to a laptop and you just pull out your phone and you want to get to a file quickly. So one of the features that has been really useful for me is OneDrive Home. When you open up the app, the first thing you see is that home experience, which brings your most recent files, your shared libraries, all that content, offline files right to the forefront. So you're not clicking around and taking two steps, but you're able to see that all in one place. And that's a big time saver and just a great experience. Another one is the OneDrive app for Surface Duo. Probably not a lot of people have Surface Duos, but this is a really cool demo feature and something that I think you might see one behind Jason. It's a way that you can look at OneDrive across multiple screens. The app is really optimized for that experience. You can imagine things like flicking through, reading your document while you still can see what other files you have, but a lot of cool features there. And then a couple others. Dark mode, we've talked about dark mode in the past, but having that fully on iOS and Android, it's a big crowd pleaser for folks. And then just general camera roll improvements for people that use camera roll both for consumer and for business. Really helpful to have some of those performance improvements, organization, and having that at your fingertips. I know we have a lot of OneDrive consumer fans on this podcast as well.
Yeah, I feel like I have to add my experience and maybe some of the background a little bit on these too, because I'm really proud of the work the team has done here. On Duo, you know, it wasn't that long ago that the Surface team came to us and said, hey, we're doing this thing. You can't tell anybody, but we think OneDrive would be great for it. what would you do with it? How would you make OneDrive special on this pretty special and pretty unique device? That was really exciting for the team to dive in and for us to kind of ideate on, how do you think about multiple screens? How do you do integrations there? We did an episode earlier this year, kind of diving into some of those pieces and talking about both Android work as well as Duo work. And we hinted in our Android episode, I think in the spring, about a lot of the Duo stuff. But when we looked at that device and we thought about it, it became really interesting. Like Randy mentioned, the dual screen nature. One of the ways I use my Duo a lot for work is being able to browse through a list of things on one screen, like a folder of content for a given meeting, but then be able to click on and look at on the other screen and still have the context of all of the other content while I'm looking at a document, like in a PDF, for example. And that dual nature really helps. Or, a feature I've used quite a bit, I do a fair amount of email on the device. And so I'll use Outlook on it and then have OneDrive on the other screen and maybe go find a file and drag that over. And so that integration for drag drop and those kinds of gestures that Surface Duo really innovated with are fully native to the OneDrive experience there. And that was a really fun project with our friends over in Surface. And I'm really excited to see how that does. And I hear every once in a while from folks who've picked up a Duo and are using OneDrive and having a good time with it. And so we're really excited to hear more about that and kind of for folks' thoughts on what we should do in the future there. We'll continue to make devices and making great mobile device experiences a priority. Even things that may be a little unique and a little powerful, like the multi-screen model of the Duo. The other one that I just comment on briefly, because it's probably my single favorite mobile feature we did this year, is OneDrive Home. Randy kind of talked to, hey, it really brings front and center the things to get you back to your files and get you back into what you're doing. And I think that's really great. We talked about this a lot internally as a way to get from just being the file system debugger for your OneDrive on mobile and to create this more kind of focused experience that was really intent on you getting done what you need to get done with your files. I personally use it like crazy a lot for taking files offline, and I found it's made them even more valuable. And we've had offline files for a long time in OneDrive Mobile, but the ability for us to kind of surface those at a top level, that really makes them even more useful to me. And I've just found it more productive to take files offline and then go leverage them on those devices. Those are two that have really popped for me. Ankita, I don't know if there's any for you.
It's same with me. OneDrive Home and the Surface app have been such huge highlights for the year. And I really like the fact that consistently across, say, mobile or web, we are working towards a path that helps our users get to their files extremely easily. Any files that matter the most to them, that are important to them, we are trying really hard to make sure that folks can get to those important files easily. OneDrive Home is an example, Add to OneDrive is an example, and there are many more innovations in the roadmap which are an example of this. So it's not only file storage and sharing, but also that whole concept of wherever you are, whichever file you need, it would be on your fingertips. And taking this really seriously when we plan the roadmap. All these were wonderful features that we spoke about, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners are aware of these features because we've spoken about them the entire year. Randy, what are the feature releases that you are most looking forward to in 2021?
I know a lot of customers have been asking for and talking about the sync reports. It's been featured on the podcast before, but really enabling our admins to have a full view, dashboard view of what's happening with sync at an individual device level, but also at a macro level, just seeing which devices have which folders KFM. We think that this is going to be a big game changer for admins to really understand what's happening with sync and also administer sync. So that bubbles up to top of the list. A few others that we have kind of hinted at. One is KFM for Mac. So KFM, you love it. You've used it on Windows, and it's a feature that we're working towards bringing to the Mac sometime this year. And then another one is just continuing to improve performance and reliability. It's kind of an unsung hero, but it's something that the team is really prioritizing as we get more usage. How do we just make that experience better for end users and for admins? to really get the most out of the product.
I think after we made the change from Groove to the new gen sync client 4 years back, and the excitement I saw in customers about that, I think I'm seeing the same excitement for sync reports. The number of people who have reached out to me to say, do you have a backdoor entry to the private preview? And I'm like, no, I really do not. I cannot help you with this. But it's just amazing. It's so humbling to see that you're working for a feature which there is, even before we've released it, there's so much excitement around it. And yes, KFN on Mac, it goes without saying. Just Gaia and team just gave sneak peek and a little bit of hint that we're working into it. And so did Jason in the overview session, but there's more to come. And I'm pretty sure 2021 would be big for both these features and for our sync team.
Yeah, I think they're both great. And I think you captured it exactly right. It is that sync report feature definitely has hit a chord, and kind of, it's awesome because it's another way that we're really building something that we don't see out there that anyone's ever done. And so we're really excited to be able to bring that and then learn and iterate with everyone who tries it. By no means will V1 be a final update for us. We think there's a lot of exciting things to go mine there. I have so many things though that I want to add to this list of things I'm excited about 2021. And I know that I would get bleeped for almost all of them because
yes,
the time is not right to talk about them. But I'll speak a little bit generally across the set of things as we think about it. I think as we look forward to 2021 in OneDrive, it's clear that Randy said performance and reliability will continue to be critical. The growth that we see continues to be incredibly strong. And we think that really is a reflection of how necessary it is for us to provide a robust, performant, reliable, capable experience wherever you are, whoever you are, and whatever you're trying to do. We want to be part of making that easier and amazing for you. So I think that's going to be a theme that you'll see throughout the year and something that will continue to be really important to us in the OneDrive and SharePoint team. Another item for us is really looking hard at the basics that we have across a number of different file types and experiences around file types. That's something that we think there's great investment and opportunity in, and you'll see that through the course of the year in a number of different ways. I think we're going to be doing some really cool stuff. Of course, we're never stopping on the latest and exciting new updates that are happening across Microsoft. And so as we integrate with our partners in Windows, in Surface, in Office, in every M365 service you can think of, there's a lot of great work happening that's about building smoother, simpler, more connected, and more capable experiences across all of those surfaces. This year has seen some pretty awesome updates with products like Teams. We've been really excited to be a part of that and to release a number, like our sharing experiences being fully integrated in Teams, the new experiences we've released this year around files so that they look, feel, sound, and act like files in SharePoint or in OneDrive. And I think you'll see a lot more of that coming in the next year. We have a lot of plans and a lot of ideas about how exactly we can make those things just that much better, whether you're using Teams, you're using Windows, or using something else from Microsoft that integrates across the Microsoft 365 suite. We'll continue to demonstrate why really nailing the simplicity of integration is hugely powerful and hugely valuable for each of you. And then finally, I think, as I think ahead about the things that I get excited about, one of the things that we've done in the last 4 or 5 years has really been to kind of reinvigorate, reimagine, update, redesign, re-release a lot of the core capabilities of our experiences. And some of those we did 4 or 5 years ago. And so as we approach, this next year, we've got a couple of those that are going to see their own new kind of refreshes that I think will be pretty delightful to those of you listening, both from that feature you've been asking for and hoping for, but also maybe in ways you didn't expect. And I'm really excited to see how that's going to come out and kind of surprise folks with the new value that they'll get out of that. Of course, we'll talk about all of that stuff long before it's available so that you have plenty of opportunity to think about how to integrate it and take advantage of it. But we do think there's a lot of cool stuff coming.
So well put, Jason. So subtly you've hinted towards so many features. I'm so happy that we don't have to believe anything. Good work.
Well, I think that's all we have time for today, Ankita. And I think we've covered kind of at a high level some of these really big moments for us in 2020 and big moments for hopefully all of you listening. If you heard something or a feature that you haven't taken advantage of yet, now's the time to go try it out. Hopefully it's a quiet period as the year winds down and maybe you got a little bit of extra time or you want to go play with something. Go check out some of these features that you haven't maybe taken advantage of yet, or maybe features that have been around for a long time that have been on your backlog to really get to know the ins and outs of. I had a conversation just the other day with a customer about files on demand. And while that feature shipped several years ago, it's continued to get better. And if you hadn't experienced it and really paid attention, you might not realize just how much that can be transformative, especially when people are working from home on smaller networks and less bandwidth. It's incredible the kind of impact it can have. So there's a lot of those things. And I hope folks have found something maybe in this podcast that they kind of go, oh, I want to go poke on that. I want to go learn on that. Maybe I want to go install the mobile app if I haven't done that yet and try those pieces out. There's a whole lot behind all of those. But hopefully that summary gives you some kind of taste test of 2020, a little bit of an insight into 2021, which we're looking forward to with a lot of excitement. And, we always end our guest segments on these things, although we'll have Randy around for another segment in a few, with a fun question. Given it's the holidays, and that tends to mean that things are oriented around the holidays, there's everything, kind of shining in the face there. I thought it'd be interesting to ask, what's a holiday movie you plan to watch? Maybe with your family, maybe it's a tradition, maybe it's a new one coming out. I'm just curious what surfaces there. And Ankita, I'm going to ask you to go first.
For me, it's not a holiday movie per se. Wonder Woman 1984 is releasing on 25th December. So that's going to be the Christmas movie that I'm going to watch.
I'm very excited about that movie. That's a great pick. How about you, Randy?
Yeah, great question. I think on our team of favorite is Die Hard, but I have 3 young children. So we've been kind of doing the Netflix Christmas holiday movie binge. So we went through Claus, Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2. And I have a young son, and he's about the age of Macaulay Culkin was in Home Alone. So that's kind of a underdog, and he got a big kick out of just all the little traps and kind of that slapstick humor. So that's one we'll probably rewatch this year. Another favorite is Elf, and Buddy as Will Ferrell. He's pretty hilarious and does a good job in that movie.
You've named so many good movies, Randy. I love all of those. Although I introduced, when my kids were about the same age as your son, I introduced them to Home Alone, and I have now officially seen it enough times, that I remember when it came out and I saw it dozens of times, like on VHS. My kids wore out the DVD rewatching that one, but what a classic. And Elf, that's probably one of my favorites. Okay, let me add mine. I'll add one that wasn't mentioned just for some variety. And this is a movie that I remember seeing in theaters. It's a little bit older. I'm very curious if listeners remember this one. It's a Bill Murray starring vehicle called Scrooged, where Bill plays a cynical TV executive and through it learns the true meaning of Christmas. As a big Bill Murray fan, I've always loved that movie. And that's a fun one for Christmas for me. Although my kids mostly go, why are we watching this? Who is this? This isn't Home Alone. All right. Okay. Those are a great set of things. Thank you all for that. Now, Randy.
I have to ask Randy something. You mentioned Die Hard. So in the whole debate of is Die Hard a Christmas movie, are you on side yes, that it is a Christmas movie?
Yes, I'm on side yes. I know it's very controversial. But...
Yeah, I recently saw President Obama get into that debate. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will say our team is strongly in favor, and it is something that I think it's now, we don't talk about it. It's just accepted. It's not a debate. It's a lot of fun to watch that. Okay, well, so finally, for our audience, Randy, how can people find and learn more about you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, not super active on Twitter, but my handle is Randy B. Wong _ Those are probably the best ways.
Yep. And we'll have them in the show notes so you can reach out to Randy if you have any more questions.
Thank you, Randy, for being on the show. It's been great to have you. And it's been great to kind of get that recap of 2020 and a little sneak peek at 2021.
Thanks for having me.
today, for a change, we're going to have our guest for our Culture Corner and a special topic as well. So, Jason, what do you have for us as a topic this month?
Well, I thought with 2020, for me personally, it's involved a lot of learning, and I'm probably not alone in that. I think so many of us have had to learn about things like working from home and schooling from home and everything from home. And I thought in the spirit of the show this month, we might look back and share some of the things we each learned in 2020. Randy, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'll say for me, it was the importance of connecting and caring for one another, whether that's your coworkers, friends, family. Just so important to check in with people and tell them you care for them. We're all going through this pandemic together, and it's just a good reminder to focus on what's important.
That's fantastic. For me, it was gratitude and just reminding myself to be grateful. It's very easy to complain, to crib, to feel sad about everything that is happening around you because, yes, it is very overwhelming. But at times, just take a step back to be grateful about the privilege that I can work from home and be working and continue working. And I love my job and I'm getting paid to do it. So that's great. I hate the fact that I can't go and meet my parents. But then again, I make sure I say thanks to the fact that my friends, family, everyone I know are safe and sound. So yeah, just be grateful for the little things which you did not even realize how important it is before the pandemic hit and before everyone's world turned upside down. And I strongly recommend this to everyone. That just look for those little things in your day-to-day lives which can just make you say that I'm so grateful for this, because that really helps to uplift the mood. And it would be really needed in the Christmas season when you may not be meeting your friends and family.
Well, I love the gratitude note there, Ankita, because I was just thinking, I'm really thankful that I had all these series to watch on online streaming services to catch up on it. I really am. It's been great, and it's been great with the family. And I love that note on gratitude. I think that's actually really such a great reminder and such a foundational thing. And to Randy's point, I think one of the best lessons this year has just been around empathy. It's something in our team we talk about a lot. Usually about empathy with, those of you in the audience, with customers, the challenges you may have, the things that you need to think about, the features and capabilities that we build and invest with that empathy. And I think Randy's absolutely right. That extends to and is just as critical, if not more so, with our friends and family, the people we work with, the people we engage with every day. It's really critical. For me, related to both of these, I think has been kind of just the power of being positive. It's just been this really critical tool with so many challenges this year on so many dimensions. It's pretty easy to be cynical, to be disappointed, to be frustrated with the world at large. And for me, the right response is to find ways to be positive and use that to help others see the potential for change and the opportunity in the future, even when things might not be pretty great right now for whatever reason. And, whether that's challenges that came to us, like the world migrating to the cloud in 2 months instead of 2 years, the difficulties in adjusting our team culture and our approach for things like always online connection, and a whole lot more could really get you bogged down. And that's not even touching on the social, economic, or ecological challenges I think, we've all witnessed and participated in right in our own lives. And so, to get through that, and even better to find success for each of us, I found the process of finding the positives, generating positive energy that others can use to kickstart their own, has really been a really impactful and powerful tool to get through and not just survive 2020, but on occasion and where we can to really thrive. I do look for the positives in all those things. And I think that it's been a great year for reminding me of just how much more useful and productive that can be than maybe giving into some of my baser instincts and the cynicism and challenges that we all have.
I agree. And I think that makes me feel more positive about 2021. So on to the new year. And I'm sure, as Jason has already stated, we have a lot of great OneDrive to talk about.
Thanks to Randy Wong for being on the show. Randy, it's been great to have you on. It's great to work with you every day. And it's a lot of fun that we got to share you on the podcast today.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Randy.
Next, we want to take a moment to thank other shows that have been great supporters to Sync Up. These are shows and people that not only share our love for asking guests fun questions about their favorite cheap tech gadget, They are also passionate about discovering and questioning the latest in technology and finding the best balance of technology in life and work.
I love these shows and I've enjoyed them. I've been inspired by them. I just wanted to share a big thank you to the folks at Relay FM and the show's Mac Power Users, where audiences learn about getting the most out of your Apple tech, as well as Presentable, which focuses on how we design and build the products that are shaping our digital future. If you like Sync Up, we guarantee you'll like those shows too. So search for them wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you again to our guest, Randy Wong. To learn more about OneDrive and the latest developments, please follow our tech community blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog.
And please do send us your questions and feedback. You can reach us on Twitter at OneDrive, @Jasmo, and @Ankita_Kirti21. And definitely visit our show page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/syncup. That's SYNCUP. Subscribe to and follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy Sync Up, tell others what you've learned from the show. Word of mouth is still the very best way for people to learn about new podcasts and new information. And if you're curious about other cool shows by Microsoft, we got you covered. Go to aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. There's something for everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. We'll catch up with you next year, and happy holidays to all.